What's up, guys? We're back with another video. We're going to be going over some of the awards at the end of the season for the Premier League, like Goalkeeper of the Year, Defender of the Year, etc. And we are filming this during the international break, so we've got no Premier League content to talk about, so we might as well do some predictions for these trophies. And we're going to start off with the top four race, because it's probably the most popular thing to talk about right now. Kai, do you want to just get right into it?
Sure. Okay. So for the top four, I think it's actually a lot closer than most people are talking about lately because Liverpool and City are they only have a point difference, I believe, right now, and they still have to play each other again. So in my opinion, I think Liverpool is actually going to be able to grab that because Liverpool always they always put in full effort and they don't like switch around their squad as much as Man City does.
Yeah.
So as you can see, like City could fall to Southampton or Crystal Palace, whereas Liverpool will always bring down the hammer and always just win those games because it's so necessary to them. So I take that Liverpool is going to end up in first. I see City coming in second. I think Chelsea is coming in third. I think that's pretty determined by now is that Chelsea will be third because they have a 10-point gap between the top two, and they're still 5 points above Arsenal. So then in fourth place, I do have Arsenal because I just think that Man United, their season's done, and I think they should just focus on Europa League next year. So, Max, do you want to take me through your top four?
Yeah, so I'm gonna take City for the championship, or to win the Premier League. They're up by 1 point right now, and I think it's all gonna come down to that game at the Etihad. I think in like 3 or 4 weeks. But it's gonna be fun because they're gonna play each other in the FA Cup, and then they might play each other in the Champions League. So it's going to be a great end of the season, but I have to take Man City. I just think their squad is much stronger. And I just think because you said they changed it so much, I think that's a positive because I think if Liverpool, say Salah goes down with injury like he has in the past couple seasons,
Right.
I could see City just kind of powering through and winning almost every game, which they usually do.
Okay.
And Liverpool, like they just played Arsenal. They handled them pretty well, but they showed Arsenal. They showed that Arsenal could have done something in that game. We just didn't have that finisher. But I think like a team, maybe like Tottenham, who's played really good against the big teams. They've got to play them one time. That's a game they could lose, I'd say. I wouldn't want them to lose, but yeah, I'm taking City just because I think they're just more controlled and they've got the full squad.
Yeah, to counter that though, Man City has lost to Tottenham both times.
Yeah,
Right?
so
And Tottenham also got crushed by Ronaldo twice. So I don't know. I think I got to disagree with that. I'd say that I just don't see
we can agree that
City.
Tottenham is the most random team
Yeah,
ever.
as bad as Manchester United will do, I can always count on them to be the fifth team in the Premier League because Tottenham is so confusing.
Yeah,
I just don't understand it half the time, but I can guarantee you that Tottenham will always be that sixth place team. Now, a thought I had today that I actually wanted to bring up was, you see teams like Man City who have so much depth, they're always switching their squad around, and you see Chelsea as well, like Mason Mount, Ziyech, a lot of the midfield they can switch around. I want to know, do you think there's a chance that that becomes the new future of football, where the squads just have so much depth, and it's
yeah.
almost as if it's hockey, where they do like no, obviously they're not substituting every
But
2 minutes,
games,
but
like
between games, yeah, exactly,
like we see how the line combinations in hockey they change almost every game.
yeah.
So like midfield, yeah, that's possible. But like, I'd say like teams like Tottenham and Arsenal, maybe they don't have as much money to spend.
Yeah, but then again, they have academy and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Right? So
exactly.
and it's not long before someone could come knocking on Arsenal's door because Arsenal is an up and coming team where maybe a Saudi owner would like to buy them, or there's a chance of that. I believe. Another thing is just Man United with Eric Ten Hag. I think there's a couple things that Ralph Rangnick needs to do in order to kind of set the team up for him because you can't just
Yeah.
have him and expect glory right
It's
away.
gonna take a few years for him to build that kind of City like squad.
Yeah, so hopefully they can get some transfers in and they can start rotating the guys like Fred and Fernandez and Rashford. All those guys will start getting like they won't be played every time, but
Yeah.
they'll just have a constant rotation because that was actually one of Paul Pogba's criticisms he had, where he said at Man United he doesn't feel like he has a role, which is completely understandable. But maybe he's just not well adjusted to that, and that's how football is going to work from now on in the future.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
can see that. I think that's what, because I watch Arsenal every week. I can see they're trying to build that. With the academy, they're bringing new guys in every year, and they're going to be trying. They've got more center backs coming back from loan with Saliba next year, and they've got two solid center backs already. So, like that's just an example, but yeah, I think that's definitely it's the best way to win games is to have a full 26 strong man lineup, and like a full 18 with a bench.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a good shout that that all teams are going to aim for that.
No, I think it's a good idea, honestly.
Yeah, but then
It's the best.
we'll go back on to the top four here. So you chose Arsenal to get that fourth spot.
Yeah. Obviously, I'd like to see Man United do it, but I just don't think they can at this point. I think they've just sunk the ship by losing or drawing Watford, losing to Watford, drawing Aston Villa.
Yeah.
Just the small games, they just bottled it. So I think it's over, and I will take my loss for the season.
Yeah, well, I'd say if you're in the Champions League this year, I guess you guys are out, but I mean, it's fun to be in the Champions League, right? So that's why everyone wants to be in that top four. So I wouldn't say you guys deserve it this year because you're already in it this year technically, but I'd say Arsenal deserve it the most because they've been playing so well. But I'm just worried that Arsenal they've got to play Chelsea, they've got to play United, and they've got to play Tottenham. And Arsenal haven't played that well against the big teams this year. They shouldn't have lost that game at Old Trafford. They gave away a dumb penalty at the end. But they did batter Tottenham, as everyone else does. But Tottenham are playing well. They're a different team than the last time they played them with Nuno as their coach. So it's going to be tough. I definitely think it's going to be Arsenal or Tottenham. They are 3 points. Arsenal has 54 points at the moment, and Tottenham has 51. So it's a 3 point gap. So it's going to be a good race. So I'm excited to watch. But yeah. So I guess top four, we both chose Arsenal. So do you want to go on to goalkeeper of the year? We can do our predictions for the trophies.
All right, sounds good. So this is a prediction. This isn't who I think deserves it. Because if I could say who deserves it, I would say easily I would say De Gea. But
Yeah.
the problem is just that he has such a shit defense, and a lot of what the glove relies on
Clean sheets,
is the clean
and
sheets.
stats. Yeah.
I think currently the one with the clean sheets is Allison, so I can see him coming in first. I think Ederson will probably come in second. I think it'll be Ramsdale in third, someone who's actually really surprised me. And, maybe I'll include him for my most improved as well.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Yeah.
But for goalkeeper, I would say Allison or Ederson. It's boring, but they're the two best goalies in the league.
And they just play on the two best teams.
Yeah, exactly. So it's boring to say, but that's our prediction.
Yeah.
But,
Okay, how about now we go on to the Golden Boot? So the player with the most goals. Take me through that.
So I've got to say Salah right now. But I wouldn't be surprised if Kane catches up. Let me just look at the goal here. The goals. But yeah, I'm gonna take Salah. I think everyone else would. But yeah, so Salah right now has 20 goals.
Which is just far beyond
Harry,
anyone else.
yes, and Jota has 13. So that's really good for him. He's one of the, I'd say, one of the most improved players, but he's always been kind of underrated. And Harry Kane has 12, but I wouldn't be surprised right now because in the past couple of games, Salah, since the African Cup of Nations, he hasn't been in the same form.
Yeah,
He's still
that's for
great,
sure.
but the only goals he scored, I think, is one was like a tap in and one was a penalty. Against Brighton last week.
Okay.
He came on against Arsenal and he did not look that good actually. Jota was the best player.
Well, that was actually also because he came off of an injury or
He
something
was.
small like that.
But I'm just predicting that we could see maybe him fall off a little bit. I'd say he's finished. He probably with like 10 games to go, maybe he'll get 5 goals.
Okay.
But with 10 games to go for Harry Kane, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets maybe a hat trick in there, maybe a couple braces because he scores almost every penalty he takes. Similar to Salah, but Salah, I don't think he'll be starting every game of the rest of the season. So I'm going to take Salah, but I wouldn't be surprised if Harry Kane catches up.
Okay. So for my 3, I have Salah because he has 20 goals and that's 7 above the second spot.
Yeah.
So I think he's at this point he's untouchable. Just from such a strong start to start the season off. But in second place, I can see Ronaldo because right now he is 4th, but he is only one goal behind the second place, which is Jota and Son Heung-min. So I can also see Son grabbing third, but I just think that Ronaldo is going to be able to power through because, he'll be the leader when it comes down to the Arsenal game. I believe Ronaldo will score in the Arsenal game. He'll,
He seems like he's scoring for fun now.
yeah, it's just kind of, he's trying to lead the team to fourth place, which is almost impossible at this point, but I think he'll try as much as he can, even though, guy does not press at all. He's actually in the bottom. I think I heard he's in the bottom 1% of Europe's pressing, actually.
Like attacking kind of stats.
Yeah, he's in the bottom 1%. Which
It's just, I guess it's just not his play style.
I guess, but that's the problem, with Ralph Rangnick.
That's what he wants. So yeah,
Yeah.
he's not the ideal striker for Man United right now, I don't think.
No.
But yeah, it's interesting to see because I'm kind of hoping he scores lots of goals because I love watching him play. But hopefully not too many to get him into top 4.
Yeah. All right. So now should we move on to
Defender of the Year? Is that
sure?
I just made that award. I don't know if it's an award or not, but for Defender, I'd said Van Dijk, Diaz, probably one of those two. Now Ruben Diaz is injured right now, so I wouldn't be surprised. I think Van Dijk is the best defender in the world. I have to say. After watching Arsenal play them like 3 games in the past couple of months, he's just locked us up and we haven't scored once. So yeah, he's my Defender of the Year. I don't know. What would you say?
For me, I'd actually take Antonio Rudiger. I think
Okay.
he's a great defender, especially alongside Thiago Silva, who isn't as good, but they make a great pairing. And he's also able to score some goals, surprisingly, as a defenseman, which is a bit of a surprise that Rudiger would score some goals. And it's going to be unfortunate to see him leave the Premier League. I think he's rumored with a couple clubs, and plus
Munich or Barcelona.
yeah,
So
his contract is ending, and Chelsea's not going to be able to sign him back. So that's a little bit disappointing, but I can see him being crowned. I crown him the best defenseman of the league this year. Second place, probably have Ruben Diaz, unless Van Dijk can do something immaculate while
I'd say if Liverpool win the league, I'll give it to Van Dijk.
Okay. Yeah, so Rudiger, Diaz, and Van Dijk.
Yeah, solid.
Yeah.
I put Connor Cody or Ben White as my last as third place because they both have kind of been playing really well for maybe not great defensive teams, but they won't be competing for the Defender of the Year.
Yeah.
We'll move on to should we do Young Player of the Year?
Yeah, that'd be good.
All right, so Young Player of the Year, I think it's under 21 or under 23. I just have 2 options for myself. I put Bukayo Saka. I was going to say Smith Rowe, but he hasn't been starting that much, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's not nominated. But Bukayo Saka, he scores almost every game. He's so fun to watch, and he's the best player at Arsenal right now at, I think, 20 years of age. So I think he's going to win it. But right now I put Conor Gallagher as also a potential winner. Maybe if Crystal Palace gets up into that top 10, which I think they will. But Conor Gallagher has literally changed Palace from a kind of relegation side with a brand new coach to a top 10, maybe fighting for that top 7 next year. It's unfortunate that he's leaving to Chelsea though.
Yeah, so for my picks, I'd probably take Saka as well. I think he's Arsenal's best player. There's no doubt about it. He's a really fun player to watch, especially as a rival. It's not just that, I don't support Arsenal, so I'm not cheering for Saka, but I think he is a pretty entertaining player to watch. Second, I'd probably have to give it to Phil Foden. I'm not a very big fan of his, but if you look at the goals, he
scored against Liverpool in that game.
He has a lot of goals this season, especially for a youngster. So I guess I'd have to put him in second. And third, I would honestly put in Jadon Sancho.
He is playing well now.
He is. He was off to a very slow start, which is a little disappointing for me. But I think it's okay because he still completes a lot of his dribbles, and he's a great winger. He knows how to dribble the ball. He's not the quickest, but he's a smart player, and he's got a style of play that I like. He just doesn't have the goals and assists to show it, really. I mean, he's got a couple decent goals and some assists, but, I wouldn't say he's on the level of Saka and Foden yet.
Let me ask you this question. Who do you think Gareth Southgate will start on the right wing for the World Cup? Because we have Saka and Sancho both competing. They're both high level right now, same position.
I'd say Sancho.
You say Sancho?
Yeah, I think that Saka's probably the better player, but just the fact that Sancho had more playing time.
I think he
during
has
the
more
Euros.
potential.
Yeah,
I'd say
he had a lot more play time in the Euros, and maybe it's just kind of a Premier League thing that kind of knocks him off his rocker because you see he did well in the Champions League, and he grabbed a couple goals and assists there, and obviously this summer other than the penalty miss he was doing well with Dortmund he did well, so it might just be the Premier League that's scaring him a bit, but
he's getting into it now, so
yeah, so I would say he would probably take Sancho. Who's the smarter pick? Probably Sancho, just for the for the time he's spent there. Also because this is going to be the big talk is what happens in December and November, because that's World Cup time. So
yeah.
So
and I
do you
guess
really
we will
think-
see the start of the Premier League. I forgot.
Yeah.
So
So do you think that like Sancho could make a big boost? Because I think Saka's a couple levels above for you right now. Yeah.
yeah, but
So would you say that in those coming months Sancho can improve up to Saka's level?
yeah, I think he's almost at the same level now.
Yeah.
I'd say if he can get a little bit better and start next season really well, it'll be definitely 50-50 for that spot. But if I had to choose right now, I'd give it to Saka.
Yeah.
But I'd say Sancho has more potential to be a better right winger. But yeah,
I think the thing is though is that Sancho's also been playing on the left wing, which is kind of strange because he is a right winger, but
he won't
if
play there
I-
for England though.
I don't know. I mean, if you could, well, I guess there's Sterling. I was thinking about Sterling, but I was thinking, I'd play Sancho over Grealish.
Okay, yeah. Grealish, I don't think gets into my starting lineup, but
No, he's probably been. If there was an award for biggest flop this year, it'd be him and Lukaku. So
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Do you want to go to most improved?
most improved, and we'll finish off with
I have
PFA.
one more thing to ask you before
Sure.
the last one, but yeah, okay. So most improved. Take
Most
me through it.
improved. My first choice, as soon as I thought of this award, which isn't actually an award, but I think they should give an award. They give it in the NBA, and it's really cool. But I had to say De Gea first. That's what came to mind. Just because I feel like last season, like after the Europa League final, he was not looking like a good goalie. People were calling for Dean Henderson to start, and he's really proved these people wrong. Because he's probably the best shot stopper in the league right now.
Yeah.
He's not great with his feet, but that doesn't really matter if you can save him literally almost everything. If he had like,
Actually, it does, because that is the way that Eric Ten Hag is wanting
I
to
guess so,
play.
yeah,
So I mean, De Gea's got how many years? He's got less than 5 years left.
yeah.
So
I could see him
Dean
move to
Henderson-
Spain maybe.
Yeah, Dean Henderson is good with his feet, so I'm not too worried about the future of United's goalies.
Yeah.
But
But right this season, he's the best shot stopper I've seen.
Yeah.
He's made some really good saves, and if he had a better defense, he would be up for goalie of the year for sure.
Yeah.
But for most improved, I'd give it to him. Second place, I'd give it to Gabriel on Arsenal.
Okay.
Last season, he came in as a young, I think he's only 22 years old, and he wasn't great. They finished 8th place, and he was their center back with David Luiz, and it was looking like it was a terrible signing from
I
Lille.
didn't even know who he was, actually.
Yeah, I didn't watch many Arsenal games last year. I didn't watch many games at all just because it was so boring without fans. But yeah, Gabriel has really turned it around. He's added like 3 or 4 goals to his game this year, and he's just played really well defensively. But yeah, I'd give it to De Gea over him, but Gabriel has been a very improved player. And then third, I gave it to Jared Bowen. Just because I literally did not know who he was from last year.
Yeah.
But he's really put his name out there, and people are calling him to get into the England team.
Now here's the thing, he's a right mid as well.
Yeah,
So if you had to rank off Bowen, Sancho, and Saka, give me those 3. Who you would start, bench, and cut?
the thing is, I had to start Saka right now, but Bowen, I feel like if he had a better lineup, because West Ham is not a champ, they're not going to get top 4. But if he had the players around him like Saka does and Sancho does, I feel like he could be as good. But right now I'm going to take Saka start. I'm going to bench Sancho, bring him on as a sub or whatever. And then I'd have to cut Bowen, but it's actually really close.
Yeah, it is.
So maybe we can do a predicted 11 for maybe some big international teams in another video. But let's see, what's yours most improved?
Yeah, so for me, I'd probably say most improved has to go to Jared Bowen. I think he's a great winger, and I if I was to rank the start, bench, cut three we just named off, I'd probably start Sancho. I'd bench Bowen. I'd cut Saka.
I would probably start. So I'd probably start Bowen 3 or 4 weeks ago when he was scoring every game.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
he's kind of fallen off a little bit.
Yeah.
But carry on.
Yeah. In second place, I have Jota.
a
Like
good
most
pick.
of us, well, Klopp fooled us all again by thinking, oh, this is a dumb signing from Wolves. He's just, just another Portuguese winger. He's not going to do much. And it's like, no, he's actually really good, and he's taken over from Salah when Salah wasn't here. Super surprising. I barely knew who this guy was when I was talking about the Euros, and I was saying Portugal could maybe do it. They've got Ronaldo and Bruno and Cancelo.
We didn't
I
name him,
didn't
right?
even name Jota.
Yeah.
Was he even at the Euros?
I'm not sure.
I've never heard of this guy before this season. So, another hats off to Klopp because
that's a solid Liverpool signing.
yeah,
like,
because what you notice is, who are the biggest names in the world currently that are like talking about signing? Like Holland, I guess he's
Yeah.
been rumored with Liverpool, but like players like Sancho wasn't rumored with Liverpool.
Oh, yeah.
Holland was, Mbappe wasn't, Messi wasn't, Ronaldo wasn't. It's always these guys that Klopp tends to sign for 30, 40 mil, and we're like, this is just a dumb signing. Luis Diaz, for example,
That I was about to say.
it's like it's just a surprise, and it's like no one was even thinking about this guy, and now we're like, holy shit, he's one of the best players in the Premier League. So yeah, Klopp
That's why I
has
think
my
Klopp-
respect for that.
Klopp is one of the best, like, maybe not managers
Scout.
for in-game, but a scout. Yeah, he's probably got some really good scouts behind him in the front office, but yeah, that's just a tactical genius right there.
Yeah,
So you'd give it to him. Who did you say second place?
yeah.
Oh, you said
second place would be
Jota.
Jota.
Okay.
Third, I mean, he's too good for this. But I will say his name because I don't think he should be improved. He should be up for some other awards. But Cancelo,
Right.
like
Yeah.
Cancelo has
I-
gone
also
from just,
another
just
Portuguese
a
guy.
mediocre defenseman that Pep just happened to sign. I just thought he was going to be another
I
maybe.
didn't
but,
even hear of him before last couple of seasons, and
Yeah,
He's-
and now he's the best defenseman in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Although I wouldn't put him up for the best defenseman thing we just talked about because he doesn't play the
he's
style.
he's best fullback, I'd say.
Yeah.
Similar to Trent. So
Okay, so I have a question now for you that we haven't really talked about. This doesn't have a lot to do with the Premier League, but my question was, which Premier League team out of the three that remain do you think are going to go the farthest in the Champions League? We have
Alright.
Manchester City, we have Liverpool, and we have Chelsea.
right. So
And you know what?
Chelsea-
We'll throw it in there. We'll say West Ham for
Europa.
for
Okay.
Europa as well.
So I don't think I'm not sure who West Ham plays, but I don't think it's Barcelona. So they should be okay because Barcelona is the only I'd say the biggest team in Europa League.
Yeah.
They're probably like the strongest. But West Ham, I'll start with them. I'm gonna say they win their next game, and I'm gonna say they draw Barcelona in the semifinals, which is unfortunate because I'd love to see West Ham do well, but I don't think they can beat Barcelona having to go to the Camp Nou.
Yeah, that's too tough. The Spotify Stadium.
Spotify New Camp or whatever it's going to be called. But yeah, I'm going to say West Ham go out in the semifinals. So moving on to Champions League, Chelsea play Madrid. That's going to be tough. They went and beat Madrid in Madrid last year, but that was with no fans.
This is
and
a different Madrid, though.
This
honestly.
is
These
they
guys
did
are-
not have Benzema. Vinicius was not playing well.
These guys are like a level below their 2017 squad.
Yeah.
Like
We saw that in the
Madrid is
PSG game.
amazing.
So I'm gonna say Chelsea if Havertz plays well, I feel like they can get a draw in the game at home, but I don't see them getting a draw or a win at the Bernabeu. I have to say they will go out to Madrid because I predicted Madrid to win the Champions League in my my own YouTube video, but it's gonna be a close one for sure. But yeah, I'm gonna say Madrid beat them. Man City, they play Atletico Madrid. I have to say Man City will win that.
I think so.
Atletico look good, but they kind of barely beat Man United. Like, that was close.
Yeah.
And then, who's the other one? Liverpool.
plays Benfica.
They
which
will
is
win that one.
easy,
They
you know?
will win that one for sure. And then we could see Man City versus Liverpool. I'd say Liverpool can beat Madrid because I predicted Madrid to go through. And then the other game is can't think here.
Well, it would be City and Bayern.
Oh, Bayern, yeah. So I'm predicting Bayern, City, Liverpool and Madrid are semifinalists. That's going to be tough. It depends who gets matched up with who, but I'd say City and Madrid can beat Madrid. No, sorry, City and Liverpool can beat Madrid, but I don't think
They can
Chelsea
beat Bayern.
can.
Oh, Chelsea. Okay.
And I don't see them beating Bayern.
Yeah.
Bayern looks really strong. Who would you take?
Yeah, I just think if the way it matches up is, I think either way, all three of these teams, because I think Chelsea will lose to Real Madrid. But when we talk semifinals,
One English team is going to play another English team. I'll predict that.
well, if it's Bayern plays City and it's Madrid plays Liverpool, or it's Liverpool plays Man City and Real Madrid plays Bayern,
Yeah,
I'm gonna say that all three of those teams, Bayern, Madrid, and Liverpool, they could beat City because
they're all the.
City is not
Yeah.
a Champions League team. Like, this might just be my bias towards them because I hate them.
I mean,
but-
like they
but-
can't win, right?
Yeah, like they just,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, and maybe it's like Pep moves on this year if he can't do it because they just can't seem to do it, and maybe
This
he
is their
goes-
strongest team
coaches for
in
Spain.
in a while. So
Yeah,
if they don't win it this year, I don't see them winning it ever.
no, I don't think so. So yeah, I just think it'll be Liverpool. They could really go out the same way because Liverpool could lose to Real Madrid because I think
Yeah.
whoever wins it is probably going to be Bayern or Real Madrid. So
Yeah.
they could both go out in the semifinals, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And back to West Ham, I think West Ham. I mean Barcelona. We were talking about this yesterday. Like, how do they have all these players all of a sudden? Because
don't
I thought
know.
they were like $1 billion in debt.
Yeah.
They get the Spotify deal signed,
Which
that's
is only like
100
100 mil.
million. It's
Yeah.
like, how do they have so many players? Problem is they've got so much depth that West Ham doesn't have, which they should get the friggin' depth because that is how football is going to work in the future.
Yeah.
And Barcelona's going to be able to triumph past them. So that's what's
So
gonna
yeah,
happen, in my opinion.
yeah, that's solid. I think similar predictions. I think it's probably going to be correct.
Yeah.
Unless you never know, West Ham can pull off a miracle. They could match up against someone else in the semifinals too.
Yeah.
But I don't see them beat. They're going to have to beat Barcelona at some point if they want to win.
Yeah.
So I don't see them doing it.
Okay.
Should we move
now
on?
let's go on to the most important award that a player can get in the Premier League, the PFA.
Player of the year. I think we can both say Salah is going to be nominated for sure. I'd say if City win the league, I'd say Bernardo Silva would be 50-50 for the award.
Okay.
Because he's been their best player this year. He's been a key player.
Interesting.
But also I could say De Bruyne. De Bruyne has been playing really well at this moment. He doesn't have the goals and assists to kind of show his stats.
I'd
well.
say he has the goals. He's got 9 goals.
He's got good goals for playing center mid. But if they do win, if City wins the league, yeah, I think I have to give it to a City player, Silva or De Bruyne.
Okay.
But if Liverpool win the league, it has to go to Salah. It's going to be one of those two. So
You never know, because De Bruyne won it last year somehow, which just I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people forget about. It's like, wasn't he injured part of the time?
I feel like I just don't remember last season that well.
Yeah.
Like, it was just so boring.
Well, there were some interesting parts. The 7-2 Aston Villa,
Yeah.
Liverpool, 9-0 Southampton twice.
But just the title race, it was over
Yeah.
after 3 months of
Yeah.
the league. So
Okay. Well, for my player of the year, in third place, I'd probably put Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Okay.
He is a great fullback, but he kind of surprised me a little bit this season for doing as well as he's doing.
he's got, I think, 5 or 6 goals, and he's got the most assists in the league.
Yeah.
So
Cancelo in second place, in my opinion, he has
Okay.
been Manchester City's best player. I
Okay.
think he just really excels in that left wing back position, and he's just kind of carrying the team at this point. Not carrying, but he is definitely the best player among most of them. And in first place, I have Mohamed Salah. Even after missing some time due to the African Cup, that guy is a hell of a player, and he definitely deserves player of the year. No matter what, Liverpool wins, City wins, it should be Mohamed Salah.
I'll ask you this, because they changed the Ballon d'Or settings now, so it is based on just the season. Do you think Salah can win the Ballon d'Or? Because it's based off just the end of the season now.
How do you mean?
It's going to be rewarded at in the summer, basically. After the
Oh,
season, they
okay.
changed it.
Um,
because I'd say Mbappe right now is the best player in the world, but he hasn't had the best season because they lost in Champions League round of 16 and they're in one of the worst leagues in Europe. No worst leagues, but they're
Worse
not in
than
the top four.
5, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think, Ballon d'Or is a French award. I just don't see them wanting to give it to an African, honestly.
Yeah.
I would
it's
like
hard
to
to
see
say,
it.
but yeah,
I
I
know.
agree with that.
It's just like, who was the last one? George Weah in the 90s. But, I just can't see it happening,
I think Liverpool need to win the league for it to happen.
Yeah, maybe even Champions League as well. But
Yeah.
I just, no, I mean, at this point, I think it would have to go to Mbappe because not even, because he's not even like he's not the top goal scorer in France. And it's like, I would say it'll probably go to Lewandowski because they're like, oh, we'll just give him
I
this
forgot
now,
about him, actually, yeah.
But the thing is yeah, your little,
I'd say,
one assist
yeah.
this season. But so, I'd say,
What
I don't know.
I'll say whoever wins the Champions League between, if Liverpool or Bayern Munich win the Champions League, the winner will go to.
I could see it being Karim Benzema.
I could see that too.
would
Actually,
like to see that.
we'll see. So
you
we've
know?
got Liverpool, Madrid, and what's the other one? Bayern Munich in it.
Yeah.
One of those teams I think is going to win, besides City. So I'd say whoever wins the Champions League, they each have a nominee there. So it's going to be interesting to
It
see.
could be Benzema, it could be Salah, it could be Lewandowski, it could even be Vinicius, maybe Van Dijk even. It could go a lot of ways. So
I think the Champions League is the most influential for the decision.
yeah. So point is, we have a lot of upcoming content to cover in the next few months,
Yeah.
and we hope to see you guys then. Make sure to watch our other videos. Click the link in our bio on TikTok. Check us out there, and we'll see you in the next video.
Thanks for watching, guys, and yeah, make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you hopefully next week. All right.